So Demian, first of all, we're talking to a television star. I saw on your Instagram that you were doing some television. Tell us what that was about.
The last one that I did was about some show in Brazil, Top Chef. It's a reality show about cuisine and cooking, and there's many big chefs that train in my academy. And Felipe, the guy who is presenting this Top Chef in Brazil, is one of the guys, and so he invited him to go there and do something with them.
Oh, that's awesome. Going back to, let's go to your fight real quick. Lyman Good. I think it was a matchup that not many people were expecting, I guess. Not that it was weird, but I don't know if it was a predictable one. So tell me just a little bit about how we came together. Did you want to fight here? Was that how it happened? Just really how the matchup came to be?
Actually, first of all, I wanted to fight.
Yeah.
Because, last time I fought was May in last year. So I was in New York doing some wrestling training with the guys that I always go at Edge and at Columbia University also. And they came to Eduardo, UFC came to Eduardo, my manager, and spoke to him about Lyman Good. And we said, okay, let's go. And it's Fortaleza, the second, blah, blah, blah. And then we said, okay, it's great, let's do it.
You did talk about that, wanting, I remember when we talked before, you talked about activity, how you wanted to stay active, and it has been a little while. So was it a choice? Did you want to get some rest because you did have kind of like a rough stretch there?
It was kind of both because we had like 3 fights in a short time, but of course, there's a balance that is not so good to be so long time without activity, and of course, I'm thinking that, I don't have that much time that I had when I was 30 or 25. Yeah. So, I need to keep going.
And talking about Lyman, I think I was reading about him, an interview that he gave, and he was talking about how he was so excited about this fight because, he was fighting a top 15 fighter and he was validation. He was like, I almost cried when I heard about it. And I think looking at it, he's the guy who, it seems like he has more to gain coming into this one. Is that kind of how you see here? Like maybe you have a little more to lose than he does?
Yeah, maybe, but this, after all, is all inside your mind, is we thinking too much about that, but after a few years you just remember the fight and remember how the fight was and if it was great or not, what happened. So it's something that we think right now, but in a few years, so it doesn't matter. Fight is always a fight, it's always hard, it's always tough. Everybody who is in the UFC right now is a great fighter. There's no weak fighter, so it's always a tough fight.
Stylistically, if you could just break him down a little bit for me, what do you think of him and how do you kind of see this fight going?
I think he's a very good Thai boxer, powerful, strong, and he has some good takedown defense. And also, what surprised me, when he goes to the ground, I saw he has a good defensive guard, so he's able to survive with the guys. So it's something that I need to be, very, very smart to deal with this, because I know it's not just take him down and that's it. I know if I take him down, he has some skill to defend himself on the ground.
Going back to your last performances, I think there are 2 ways we can look at it. Of course, there are the facts that it's a 3 fights kid, but then you look at the 3 fights kid. Yeah, it was the champion in a fight that was kind of short notice, and then Usman and Covington, who are the killers really in the division. So when you go back,
interim champion,
interim
champion, and the challenger right now. So, I looked at, of course, in perspective and see that even that was losses was for the top level guys. So that's something that I need to keep in my mind, because I don't feel my performance dropping. Yeah. I don't feel my excitement and my passion to train dropping. So it was a fight, it's a fight. The difference is that sometimes if you're like 30 years old and you lose a few fights, they will say, oh, it's just, a bad phase. Yeah. But when you're like 41 and you lose some fights, they say, oh, no, he's dropping the performance. And the trickiest thing is that you cannot believe that. If you believe that, then, will be your fall. And that's not, it's showing in training for me. I'm showing like evolving, improving. And so, I think more rationally than emotionally.
And that was actually my next question, and I'm glad you brought it up, because we know how it can be with fans, right? Because you were at that amazing streak, and everybody was like, he's the next challenger. And then you lost the title challenge, and then you go on this kid, and people are like talking about retirement and things like that. So we know how those opinions can change. Why do you think that you're able to deal with that so well? Do you think it's maturity, just your personality? Like, how do you stay balanced and make sure that this does not, get in your head?
I think it's personality, of course, because I'm kind of stubborn. But also it's maturity, like you said, it's a combination, because I learned all these years that one thing very important that the Brazilian volleyball coach Bernardinho used to say is, like, when you win, never believe that you're so good like people tell you. Yeah. And when you lose, never believe that you're so bad like people will tell you. So it's something in the middle, and you need to be very aware of that. When I was winning 7 wins, in a row, people are saying that I was like God, and the jiu-jitsu wizard, and people, keeping thinking, most people, they understand my skills, but some people now, I lost these fights, and they are like, oh no, he's over, he's done, he's not in his prime anymore. And it's normal. So I try to don't get attached with the, that part, and not even with this part right now.
And you talked about the passion and excitement for training. I remember when we talked before the fight with Usman, and you mentioned that it was a risky fight. We all know it was a risky fight, but that, you thought a win could really show to people that you were still up there and that you were still in title conversation. Right now, where does the title sit in your head? Do you think about, a title shot at this point, or is it something that you're just trying to go fight by fight?
I go fight by fight. Even when I was winning, of course, the title was much more vivid in my mind. But right now, first I need to win this fight on Saturday. And of course, you win 1, 2, and then start to think again. So let's see how it's gonna be, this year. And it will be natural, my mind will start to switch the mindset. But right now, my total focus is like, I have 3 more fights in my contract. I want to win those 3 fights. That's it.
And speaking of which, you've also been very open about the fact that you have 3 fights left. And last time we spoke, you did say that you didn't know if they could be your last. Like, you're not making any hard commitments, but that they could. Is that where your head is at right now? Could these be your last fights in the UFC?
Yes, could be for sure. I don't know yet. Like I said, depends what happens in this fight, and depends what I want to do after these 3 fights, because sometimes I want just more time to do other things and other projects that I like. But right now I've been thinking a lot of that, and right now is not time to think about that. It's, I have a very tough task ahead in 4 days, and I want to focus on that.
You said it yourself, you're a very rational guy, and I know you don't really get caught up on the I need to win and things like that. But at this point, I think it's probably natural after you lost a few in a row. How hungry are you just to get your hand raised again? Oh,
very much. I'm in the end of the day, I'm a fighter, I'm an athlete, and I'm very competitive. So it sucks when you want to feel the feeling of winning, and I didn't feel that for a while. So I'm very hungry to feel that again.
My last one is about the situation in your division. Obviously, Covington was the interim champion, and it seemed like he would be the one fighting Tyron, and then Usman bypassed him. The whole thing, Covington wasn't happy. We know the drill. But what did you think about that? Did you think that it was fair that Usman gets the next title shot?
I will be not fair if I give an opinion on that, because both they won great fighters, and both they have many wins, and I don't know what happens in the negotiations. Yeah. I don't know what happens between Kobe and UFC. I don't know what happens between Usman and UFC. What changes. It's hard to tell something if you're not inside. Maybe if I talk with them, I will know better. But I don't know what is going on. And also Tyron. He wants to fight in specific times, and he always tries to push, the best time for him, and the other gets the other opponents get annoyed. Yeah. They wanna sometimes give a short camp to the guy, and Colby didn't accept, and I don't know how the negotiation was, So it's hard to say, and it's a game, It's a game. Tyron is winning his game, and they are doing their game, and we don't know what is happening behind the scenes.
Since you brought it up with the Tyron thing and the timeline of the camp, because I know you had a shorter camp than the one that you usually do when you fought him. Yeah. Looking back, I remember that you didn't have time to go to the U.S. and do the wrestling thing.
It was just like a month camp for a title fight. It was, too short. And I don't know if I would win, but for sure it affected my performance.
Do you regret taking the fight?
No, I didn't, because when you were talking with UFC, they said that that's your chance, and if you don't take this chance, we don't know if we're going to have another chance. So I said, in that time I was 39, almost 40, almost turning 40. And I said, if I don't take the chance, we have a meeting with our team, and we took like 2-3 days to discuss that. And we finally came to a end that we said, okay, if we don't take this fight and we don't have the chance anymore, maybe we're gonna regret forever. So it's better to go there and do what you can. At least I know what happens in this fight. I think the worst thing would be, be all my life thinking about that.